Oh, the hate is flowing. Makoto has reached his limit. We have war brewing on the horizon with Lily. He's just stirring up a storm, and I love him for that. But, like, we have a tournament arc next week. I don't even care if it only lasts an episode. Tournaments are fun. They're like the bread and butter of the anime industry when it comes to fights. But Makoto, I said it last week, it felt as if the first core, as someone who enjoyed the first core of this season, it was a lot different than what you expected out of a second season, but it was a lot of setup. It was slice of life, fun time, some serious stuff, but in general, it didn't feel like it had as much structure. It was as if they were throwing a bunch of things that were going to be important, but they needed to get setup out of the way. And setup was over last week. They were clearly getting the ball moving, and this episode proves it. They immediately throw us in. They have Makoto interacting with a character who's dropping some bombshells about the Sage and the dynamics, and honestly, a very clever character all around. You have the stuff with Lily, I don't like her on a personality level, but damn is she such a good character for what she's doing. And everything that we have going on with the students now, it just feels like this is why you would make Tsukimichi a second season be a 2-core. Because if they would have done a 1-core and then a season 3, I don't think the hype would have been there for a third season. But by having it be consistent and back to back, we're now in what could be the best of Tsukimichi up until this point. Based on the opening, I think exactly that's going to happen. Of course, I have a full live reaction to this week's episode over on my Patreon if you want to see my full and good thoughts. They're over there if you're interested. So, this was good. It was fun, it was goofy, it was serious, but like, Makoto's character is going to go so crazy soon. And the idea that, like, you can send assassins, you can try to poison his drinks, you can try to stab him on his way home, and it's nuisances. It's not something that makes him sweat or scared, it's like a fly buzzing around you when you're trying to eat your dinner. But the idea that even the school, like, everything is basically targeting him, and he's reaching his limit. And the idea that you even have a character like Lily, he's like, listen, could I take a Tomoe? Could I take a Mia? Like, what's going on here? Like, would I be able, and it's like, no, it'd basically be like going up against an army of demons. Oh, are you saying they have demons? No, like, you're just shit out of luck. This is a woman who's on the verge of starting an all-out war. She best hope that whatever she does doesn't target Makoto because, you know, like, rip bozos is all I'm saying. But I love the idea of how everyone's scheming, everyone's manipulating. I think the most interesting conversation was actually the very start of this episode during the dinner party. So we have the woman from the interrogation, it was in the previous episode, I think, who was kind of getting screwed around by the nobility, pops up and is like, hey, your sign, the only one who would know that language would be a sage. And sages are pretty much people who come from other lands, aka other worlds, which would be the isekai characters. And she's actually pretty clever, so on her way out, she mentions how, like, oh, you have a symbol on your sign, and that's for medicine. And the idea that Makoto's like, actually, it's for a plant, but that plant we plan to use for medicine. And she's like, oh, basically, I know. It basically forced him to play a hand because it revealed that he knows a lot more about this language. He's acting like he doesn't have a lot of information on it. It was actually a pretty clever play, but it's interesting because I do believe her in general. Like, it feels like her lands, it kind of feels like in a Shield Hero situation, like if now Fumi was properly summoned to the right area, protection, worship the ground you walk on, this, that, and the third, and instead our boy was pretty much in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Like, that's pretty much what happened. He doesn't really need protection at this point, he really doesn't need her help, but like, it's interesting nonetheless. But I liked what they did because it just felt like this is the Tsukimichi I know and love. The characters are having a blast. I mean, sure, we didn't get any banana shenanigans this week, but we've had enough of our fill of that over the past handful of weeks that we probably don't need anything in the immediate future. But the idea that these students are all lined up, they're super, like, the students are just like, this is a great teacher. He scares us shitless, but he's actually improving us. Like, the idea of not having to use your trump cards, like, keep that safe and a secret for when shit hits the fan. If you're not able to fight or do this or that with a limited arsenal, then obviously I haven't trained you well enough. And the idea that they get introduced to people they know and have heard of, Tomoe and Mio, and they're like, wait, what? Wait, can you repeat that? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, Shiki's weak. Like, that's pretty much what they said. And I say justice for my boy, but it's true. Shiki isn't even close to the level of a Mio or a Tomoe. Big Dragon and Big Spider Lady are like the generals. The top tier warriors. Shiki is like a grunt in comparison. And the fact that these students had to collectively hold their shit in because they were about to soil themselves, being like, and here we thought we were doing alright. Yeah, sure, there'd be a couple more Shikis, but you know what? It's like, oh, they thought they saw the tip of the mountain. Everest is still a long way up there, and those clouds are stopping you from seeing the finish line. And it's insane, right? And I like the difference in perspective because someone like Tomoe definitely is someone who would enjoy teaching. Mio, of course, is like, these are like hatched birds. Like, they are babies. They're infants. Why would I do this? It was just such a good episode. It felt structured, which was what last week felt. It felt structured, organized, and all the pieces, all of the setup from the first core is now paying off at a very steady pace. It's not like, oh, one or two little things happens and it feels a little more... It's like, no. This was like, the first core was needed, 100%. But it's the fact that now that all the disorganizing ideas it felt like, because that's how Core 1 felt. It felt disorganized. I knew there would be payoff, but, you know, even if you know something's gonna have payoff, it doesn't change that if the initial impression feels disorganized, it's going to feel a little more messy. And I wouldn't call the first core of Season 2 better than Core 1 of the first season, right? Because Season 1, I just think, is a better core than the first core of Season 2. However, Core 2 is shaping up to be better than both of those cores combined. If they keep on the trend that they're going for. Fingers crossed, production's holding up, Makoto's in his pissed off form, war's on the horizon, we're learning stuff about the sages and everything like that. There's so much to enjoy, and right now, it's a great time to be a Tsukimichi fan. I mean, this is an episode that has cute moments like Tomoe and Mio about to cause Armageddon because someone else other than them were around our boy's arm. Such a troll, such a shit disturber, and the fact that they're exactly like that to Lily as well is just fantastic. I know some people, when was it, like 2 episodes ago, 3 episodes ago or something, when they first popped up and they were like very flirtatious with Makoto. I saw a lot of pushback. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, oh, I love this character. So I'm glad to see more of them in this episode. And honestly, the more shit stirring that this character does, the better in my opinion. But I'm loving this. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on this week's episode. Do you agree with me? Because I feel like it's feeling like payoff. The setup's over, and they're using all those little breadcrumbs from the first 12 episodes or so in a great way, but maybe you have a different feeling. Let me know down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more, and like I mentioned, we also have full live reactions over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Cody Namir, Alexander Wright, John, Anime Lover 3211, Thomas Smith, and Oris Lopez. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.